Whose intro?
Chris.
Me.
Chris.
Nice.
Prepare for crisp phone voice.
Prepare for a very sharp hello.
Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 221.
Oh, that was nice today, Chris.
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames.
Caitlin.
And Jake.
And we're here on National Chocolate Chip Day
Yes.
to bring you Image in the Sand and Shadows and Symbols.
We should figure out what national day it is every time we do one of these. Granted, now people will know when we recorded.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I know, I was
They
thinking
can
that.
use that
Like,
to
don't tell
dox
'em.
us.
What?
They can be bothered to Google when it was.
They're going to triangulate our location by the
Dates.
time.
By the
Well,
number
here's the
of
thing.
chocolate chips.
If our episode is really, really bad, then we will know that time travel doesn't exist because somebody will have come back to stop us, knowing when we recorded this.
I got bad news. I think in the future, people still aren't listening to this podcast. So while I like your idea, I don't think.
Anyway, so this week is a two-parter with
Sneaky!
3 sort of concurrent stories that they pretend to dovetail, but really don't.
No.
So what I'm gonna do is describe each plot rather than, bounce around like the episodes did. Plot the first. All that bullshit from last season with Quark and Julian suddenly being really into Jadzia again pays off annoyingly here.
No, it
'Cause
doesn't.
Well,
Well,
it at least comes
Is
to a
explained,
head.
yeah.
Or...
It's stupid. It's still stupid, don't get me wrong. So in plot
Right.
the first...
Yes.
Worf is in a poopy mood. Rather than send him to a therapist, because, let's be honest, he wouldn't go anyway, they send the chief to get him shit-faced. And it eventually comes out that he's sad because Jadzia isn't in Stovokor because she didn't die in glorious battle. So they tell Martok, who's like, hey, Worf, let's go have glorious battle. And Worf's like, all right. But then Julian and Quark are like, we want to go too and help because we're into her, I guess. And O'Brien is like, I want to come too to keep an eye on my boyfriend and make sure he doesn't get killed. And, Worf gets annoyed that they're there tagging along. Because, yeah, kind of weird. Like, dude, my wife, fuck off.
My wife.
Then they glorious battle, quote unquote, is sneaking up to a sun cloaked, decloaking, shooting at the sun to try to make it solar flare into a shipyard. It doesn't work the first time, so some
pulling a Bev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some actual battle happens, and then the chief makes the thing work, and the shipyard is destroyed by a solar flare. Done. Plot the second. Now Colonel Kira
Yay.
is still running DS9, and the Romulans are setting up a little embassy. And at first she's like, I don't know, Romulans. But then her and the Romulan Senator Kretak kind of get on in a weird way. And Kretak's all like, can we set up a hospital on your abandoned fourth moon? And Kira's all like, yeah, sure, why not?
Is that like a Chris Walken impression?
I was trying to make fun of her strange voice, and I failed miserably.
This is really rude, is all.
Let's talk about her face. Jake?
Jake, any comments? Actually, one of her eyebrows is weird, and I don't know if it's because they drew it badly, or if she had a chunk digging out
not
of her face.
her eyebrow. But anyway, so everything's fine with the hospital until it turns out, oh god, they've got a shitload of weapons on it, which is like, what the fuck? And the Bajorans are like, we don't want that there, stop it. And the Romulans are all like, screw you. And there's eventually a big old standoff in space. The Bajoran militia sends up a bunch of buses with phasers, and the Romulans had a bunch of warbirds, and there's a standoff, and it's tense. But then, and this is sort of connected to plot the third, the wormhole opens, and this makes Admiral Ross go, what the hell? Romulans, stop being dicks. And the Romulans go, okay, and leave.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, plot the third. It's been 3 months, by the way, for all of these. Sisko's still in a poopy mood. He's been playing piano and scrubbing oysters and whatever else. And he's all still trying to clear his head from the end of last season. Then his baseball falls, and he's like, whoopsie. And then he has a vision of digging in sand on the planet Tyree. And he sees a face, and he's all like, who is this woman? And it turns out this woman is, dun dun dun, his retcon mother.
What?
Whoa, yep, it turns out before his mother, Admiral Father.
Brock Peters.
Brock Peters. Shit, what's his name? Joe.
Joe.
Joe had another wife. She showed up. They were deeply in love. They had wee babby Ben. And then one day she just fucking up and vanished. And Joe spent time looking for her. And then he found out where she was. But she died in a hovercraft accident before he could be like, what the F? And he also never told Sisko because reasons. So Sisko's like, well, holy crap. This is all nuts. I gotta go to Tyree and stuff.
Dig up some shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it turned, eventually Joe's like, oh, here's a necklace that your mother left behind. And oh, look, there's ancient Bajoran on the back. And it translates to the Orb of the Emissary. Because, of course, it does.
Yeah. Go on.
So Sisko's like, I'm gonna go to Tyree, but before he can, he gets stabbed by a guy who is not Aaron Eisenberg playing a Bajoran like we thought.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was Aaron Eisenberg.
But, it's the future, so a gut stab, especially when you're found as quickly as Ben is, really doesn't matter. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. There's like a Cult of the Pirates building up that was mentioned briefly in Plot the Second.
They pay off later in the season or something.
Probably. I'm sure they'll be back, but I just forgot to mention them. So anyway, so Ben's better. He's going to go to Tyree. Jake and Joe are like, we're coming too. And
road trip.
They're like, oh, okay. And then right before they can leave, Manic Pixie Dream Dax shows up.
Nice.
Because yes, this is Esri Dax, who is a little freaked out by the whole experience because she was never meant to be joined. She never went through the training. She never intended to be, but the Dax symbiote was on its way back to Trill. Something was starting to go wrong. She was the only Trill on board, and they were like, guess what? Shove.
Oh.
So
right in the pouch.
Yep, so she's, kind of, and they go to Tyree, and they walk around a lot, and Ben has what turns out to be false vision of Benny Russell and Dr. Wyckoff, as played by Dr. Damar. And he opens the thing eventually, and the orb of the emissary is there, and it's not all turned off like the other ones. And it sends a beam of light, and the wormhole opens, and the power wraith is vomited out. And the prophet Sarah shows up and is like, we basically mind control this woman so she'd be your mother. Ben goes, gross.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Plot the Third. And then Plot the Epilogue. Ben's back, the Bajorans are thrilled, everyone's like, who's the Pixie? And she's all like, hi guys, it's Dax, and Worf storms off. I'm sure this is never gonna come up again.
Well, she told them they needed to talk.
Yeah. And, Quark is all, holy shit, she's short, maybe I have a chance now. The end.
No, the end line, I was so angry.
Oh, yes.
Because the end line is, just when you thought things couldn't get more interesting. And I'm like, God damn it, writers.
Yeah, that was a bit on the nose.
Yeah, they're like saying, oh, it's season 7, but don't worry, just because we got rid of Jadzia doesn't mean we can't make the 7th season, okay? Just watch!
I feel like if anyone could have had a fun, quippy line about how fucked up this was gonna be, it could have been Odo, but that's not the line.
Yeah, they threw him a softball.
Chris, you missed a really important piece in your synopsis.
Is it the trajectory of the ball?
There was finally an appropriate response to a Vic Fontaine song.
Oh my god, literally during the credits I saw as Vic Fontaine, and I went, son of a bitch, no!
I don't understand why he was then, cleaning up. It's like, can't you just tell the holodeck
hit the reset button, bitch.
Yeah.
I said many times, this is a holodeck. Why are you complaining about this?
Oh, my band is gonna quit.
Yeah, it's like, no, reprogram the band. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Vic seems to, live in his own little space, but everybody else seems to follow the normal rules.
Yeah.
P.S. Anyone who bitches today, now, in the current present that we live in, who bitches about Tilly and doesn't have the same fucking things to say about Esri Dax, I want them all to go fuck themselves, because This bitch is 3 times as annoying as Tilly. And yeah, I know she's all fucking thin and petite and shit, and I know everyone likes to rag on Tilly because she, like, gained a little weight between seasons. But goddamn, Ezri is so annoying. So annoying.
Do you want some
nonstop.
background?
On what?
On the Ezri character.
On what makes characters annoying?
Yeah.
Because I could tell you all about it. She never shuts up. She talks too fast. Her eyes are on the sides of her head. She doesn't even look like a goddamn apex predator.
My explanation for that is she's Canadian, so of course she's not an apex predator.
Yeah, there you go.
But yes, what's the background, Ames?
Go ahead, Ames.
The background is, so they knew they wanted to do something with the new Dax symbiont. They knew they wanted it to be a woman, because otherwise Nana is the only woman on set, and that's fucked up.
They have to pretend that they think that's a bad idea.
I mean, a little bit. So they're doing the casting thing for the Ezri character, and at this point the character is still fairly vague, and they're just not finding anybody who has that level of mystery about them that they could house the personalities of like 8 or 12 people in them. And they decide, okay, how about we fix this by making the character a little neurotic, because she wasn't supposed to be a host. She was supposed to just be a normal Trill person who isn't an initiate. And what does that mean if you're not able to handle all the personalities, just to give the actor something to do? And they found Nicole. I didn't end up looking up how to pronounce her name. I want to say DeBoer, but I'm not sure if that's right. Could be DeBear?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's already Ira Stephen Bear, so I don't think they'd have 2 people with last names that sound the same on the show.
True.
So
Here's the other thing, though, about Ezri is if she didn't ever want to be whatever, joined. This brings up like a whole lot of weird consent questions.
Well, I mean, I presumably
can't just be shoving symbionts in people's symbiont holes if they don't want it.
She said she'd do it. It just hadn't been the plan of her life.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. This is one of those things about, and I know, like, I'm not talking about consent in a sexual way. That's not what I'm getting at, in spite of the way I just worded that thing a second ago. But, like, it's still a thing where if you're being pushed to do something, or if, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah, did she feel like she could have said no? Because
that's
otherwise,
what I mean. Like,
the Dax symbiont of, like, 8 lifetimes would die.
Yeah, so that's definitely,
though.
I'm just saying that's definitely duress, and you really can't give consent under duress.
But here's the other
in my
thing.
opinion.
We know that a Trill symbiont can live in a human, and we know
for
that
a
it can
short
be
time.
removed
For a
from
very
that human.
short time.
Yeah, but the whole thing was they were en route to Trill, so they couldn't have just stuck it in, somebody
Riker?
for a short time just to get it there.
Just to keep it going, yeah.
Yeah, because maybe like if it's an
pass it-
actual Trill that it goes into,
Yeah.
maybe then it, that's where it joins.
Hot
and you
potato
can't.
this thing.
Yeah, pass along through the various...
I was gonna ask that, sorry.
Just pass along through a couple different crew members. Traumatize the fuck out of it.
Just keep transporting it into other people's bodies.
Yeah.
My question is, because I'm sure we were told this at one point, I just don't remember it. Once they're in a Trill, if you remove them, is that death for the Trill? Generally,
We've seen...
is there no going back?
It's death for the host.
Yeah.
So
That's what I meant.
We've seen Varad, that guy that kidnapped the Trill symbiont out of Dax, put it in himself. Gross. And it was like, granted, it was probably a couple of hours, but then he was able to take it out again without harming either of them.
Yeah, but that again, I think it is a matter of time, because Dax in that same episode would have died.
Yeah, they give some hard numbers in that one. Like,
I mean, Jadzia would have died.
Once you're fully joined, which takes I think a day or two, if it's taken out of you, you're fucked. You're dead within X number of hours.
I want to know what in evolution made this the best way for the Trill to evolve.
I once posited that originally it was probably like a parasitic thing with the symbionts. They were probably a parasite, and then it just co-evolved over the centuries.
But for the Trill, it became like a cultural thing that this is okay.
Yeah,
even if, like, what do the Trill get out of it? That's the question I think we've been trying to ask ourselves for the past couple of seasons. Is this something good for them?
Well, I mean, obviously, again, like there's status, like, ooh, you're joined, you're someone special. I suppose also you can think of it as a form of, if not immortality, hyper-extended life in a certain sense. Knowing that you're...
It's a legacy. It makes you a legacy.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like whatever it is that cats have in their shit that makes you just want more cats. I feel like that's the parasitic relationship. They're like, no, it's super great to completely, like, give up your life for this worm thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to, is like parasites convince hosts that they're a good idea.
So it is it. It's cat shit disease.
Yeah.
But with
Meow.
a big fucking worm.
Yeah.
But again, then instead of evolving to be able to fight off the symbiont, they evolved a pouch and evolved to die if they leave the pouch after being in the pouch. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, considering how integrated the symbiont must get into all the systems of the body, it does make sense that it would kill you if you fully fused with it,
Maybe, here's something we didn't consider, maybe Trill are marsupials to begin with. Maybe they have the pouch, maybe they bear their young and rear them in the pouch.
No, babe.
Yeah,
and that was just like, so they already had that adaptation, and the symbionts are like, that looks like a nice place
I made that joke a few weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking about what happens when a Trill gets pregnant. Does it get crowded in there? And I said, well, they actually
did.
Oh yeah, I do remember us having this conversation.
Yeah, but also it seems that Trill's kink must be to just shove things in the pouch.
But here's the thing though, Trill clothes don't need pockets.
True.
God damn it. So the other thing that I want to keep a close eye on as we're getting to know Ezri more and more, because right now we only see glimpses of like her as the individual.
Yeah.
So she says that she's a therapist. And I know we've had a lot of discussions about how poorly they do with therapy or just any mental health acknowledgement in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I want to keep a close eye on, is Ezri any good, or at least, lowest bar, better than Troy? Because so far, we've seen Sisko start talking to voices in front of her, and she's like, whatever.
I believe her response is, are my memories playing tricks on me, or have you gotten weirder?
She does say that, yes.
Which is like, hello, pot.
Yeah. I mean, I do know that we see her therapize somebody on the crew.
Oh god, hopefully not O'Brien.
Oh, hopefully not Worf. That'd be a conflict of interest.
Treat a chronic condition. So, I mean, they do at least make an effort to explore that side of her. And then, I don't know, I feel like Ezri Dax gets kind of a shitty go of it, because it's a character that they've brought in. It's like a new character that they brought in the very last season.
Yeah, to replace a very beloved character.
But it already, yeah, exactly. And it's not only to replace a beloved character, it's to replace the beloved character, but also inherit all of that other character's baggage. It's not just like, okay, we got a new crew member to replace Jadzia Dax, and now we have to get used to this new crew member. It's like, okay, we got a new crew member to replace Jadzia Dax, and it's also Dax.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a really tall order for the writing team to make this character work.
It's almost like they shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have, but I guess the temptation, when you have a character that has the Dax power.
Yeah, the option to still be a character.
Yeah, like the temptation to do that would just be too great, I think, for the writers.
And it is, I mean, the way they've executed it so far is just kind of like, eh. But the idea of a Trill who had never planned on being joined, becoming joined, is an interesting idea. Especially in light of a few seasons ago where it was revealed that the big Trill conspiracy is actually way more people are qualified to join than we let on.
It would be ironic if she actually was not.
Yeah.
She's like
He's
one
of
the
the 5% that can.
Yeah.
This is a bad idea.
Well, Here's what I'll say about Esri Dax. I love the idea that she's a counselor, because that means she will stop talking and have to listen to other people speaking.
Here's hoping.
And that will mean less Esri Dax talking.
Fun fact.
100% on board.
In the novels, she eventually says fuck it and switches to a command track and winds up a captain.
Wow.
Don't know how I feel about that.
Luckily, the novels aren't canon, so...
I mean,
another fun fact, S.D. Perry, who wrote the novelizations of Resident Evil games, has written a shitload of Star Trek books.
Oh, no.
I just discovered this the other day.
Oh.
Which series?
They've got a, so she's written part of the, like, pre-Deep Space Nine Terok Nor series.
Huh.
From the Cardassian, I think it's, like, from Cardassians first arriving at Bajor to, like, them taking over Bajor into the occupation.
So it's a Dukat series. Okay, I can get into this.
Dukat is on the cover of the first book, in fact. I've been thinking about picking them up. And then a couple of books I think they were called Avatar, maybe 1 and 2 she wrote. I don't know. She's got a lot of Star Trek books.
Yeah, she does, wow.
Yeah, dude, S.D. Perry writes a fucking buttload. But the thing is I remember her not being that great of a writer, so I'm not sure how they are, but I'm gonna give them a whirl.
Well, you never know. She might, with better material. Like, let's be honest, the Resident Evil lore gets really fucking convoluted and bonkers, so
yeah, that's true.
Probably hard to work with.
But like,
the first
I don't know.
first book was good enough. I feel like the first novelization was good, and I've read it like 10 times. So
I feel like with like novelizations of video games and movies, oftentimes quality is not the first priority when they're getting
it's just
writers.
giving them something else to buy.
Yeah, and like bang out something very quickly too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember reading when I was in high school the novelization of Star Wars, and it ain't great.
I read that too.
And because like somehow like in my head I didn't quite get that it was a novelization of the movie. I thought the movie was based on it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I had heard the same thing.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, wait, this isn't even written by George Lucas. It's written by some other dude.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? But I read it anyway. It wasn't great.
It's because people will buy it, and therefore they can make money.
But yeah, novelizations of things are basically just they hand a writer the script and then say, just turn this into prose, please.
Yeah, basically.
Whereas, working in an existing world, but being able to do your own original story in it might be, leaves a little more room for quality.
It also turns out that it's very fucking hard to earn a living as a novelist.
Yeah.
Because people don't buy books that much anymore. Or really ever, probably.
Yeah, you gotta basically hope someone turns your book series into a television series.
Yeah, well, I just saw a thing this week where it said, like, I can't remember what it was, but it was a very, very few books last year sold over 100,000 copies.
Wow.
I think it was like less than 200 books or something had sold over 100,000 copies, and only one book had sold over 1 million copies.
And it was a Harry Potter novel.
Probably. So I can imagine as a writer taking contracts to do novelizations and, write Star Trek fan fiction is probably great because you can crank it out fast.
Yeah, it's consistent.
It's got a built-in audience.
Yep.
Now, let's get back to these episodes, though.
Get a bunch of those a year.
Do we have to?
They were, like... I know Ira Bear has basically said, like, he stands by the strong choice to make the first episode as we're back at the start of a series and making it really, the word he uses is quiet. This is a very quiet episode because it's basically setting up things to go off of for the next episode, where they open the wormhole back up, because that didn't last very fucking long, did it?
Nope.
I was really looking forward to the wormhole being closed, and we barely got to explore that.
Yep. It's not that the first episode was quiet, it's just that we've got 3 plots.
4 if you count Damar and Wayoon.
Oh, right.
Who were barely in it.
Yeah, that was like pseudo tied into the Kira one a little, I guess.
I
actually think the Damar plot was my favorite of the plots because we learned more about Damar as a person and that he's an alcoholic and a womanizer.
Yeah. I mean, that's
expected, though.
The scenes with them are great. I love their dynamic. I enjoy that Damar is getting a little more like he's talking back more, whereas originally he was kind of like, oh god, am I super replaceable? Like, what's going on here? Now he's drunk and belligerent and, you know.
Yeah, but they don't do a ton in their scenes. Their scenes are just them being characters, which is good. They're good characters.
Yeah, it's fun watching them interact, but it's not vital.
No, it's not.
Like, you could cut those scenes and you wouldn't realize they were missing. Basically.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
Although I do love Wayoon going, the Romulans so predictably treacherous.
Well, that's just the love of Jeffrey Combs. Like,
yeah,
he could
but
be
also,
anybody, though, is the thing, because he's that versatile.
Yeah, and yes, the Romulans are so predictably treacherous. But yeah, you've got the 3 plots.
Yep.
The Worf one is fucking awful.
Yep.
Because they, like, the idea on its own is fine, but again, they have to dredge up this stupid bullshit with Quark and Julian, which is dumb.
All through Shadows and Symbols, my notes are basically, so why did they write it to be that Quark is even here? Is it just so Armin Shimmerman is in the show?
It's the writer.
So I'm pretty sure that's it, because he doesn't contribute at all.
All he does is bitch about being too hot. Like, that's basically his big thing.
Yeah, and that Worf didn't thank him. Fuck you, Quark.
Yeah, and like, honestly, if it had been just doing it in solidarity for a friend, but because it has this undertone of, well, we also wanted a banger,
that makes it unpleasant.
That makes it really bad.
Yeah, I wish they had never done that.
Yeah, no.
It should have just been like, we all, we're very close with Jadzia in different ways.
Yeah, and we want to help Worf.
And we want to help Worf, and we want to honor Jadzia. Like, that would have been fine. And like Quark, it would have been nice if like they ran into some problem that only he could solve with some unique skill that he had. The first time we did the aggravate the sunbeam, it didn't work, but Quark happens to, if I pour some Saurian brandy into the emitter, it'll get all feisty.
Yeah, it reminded me of in Starship Down when Quark was like stuck in a room with Hanok, I believe, and that big missile Kool-Aid man into the room.
Yeah,
and it was like he had nothing to do that entire episode long, and I was getting frustrated because it's like, you're not using Armin Shimmerman to be fucking useful. And then that happened, and Quark helped, and I was like, yay, good. But in this, he said nothing. He had nothing to do, no development. And he was just there to be mean to Worf, who is mourning his wife.
Like, even if it had been something as cliche as one of the systems is fucked up, but it's in this weird little corridor, what can we do? And everyone just looks at Quark, who's like, God dang it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And it'd be funny because he's Quark.
Yeah.
Well, it was since, in that episode, we've established that he has some acumen for dealing with weapons. Like he knew how to disarm the warhead.
It's a high luck roll.
Yeah.
So like, it could have been a thing like that where like he just happened to have an understanding of something that allowed them to complete the mission.
Even if it was just like he kind of knows his way around a bird of prey because of his previous fuck buddying with what's her name, whose name escapes me.
Grilka?
Yeah. Like, he actually kind of knows the systems and can do more than just go, like, it's hot. What's with all the cutlery?
Yeah. Anything. Literally, they could have done literally anything with him, and I'd have been happier than just watching him whine.
Yeah, it's just such a waste of a character I usually enjoy. Like, that whole, like, again, it's a good idea as a plot, like Worf wants to get Jadzia into Stovacor, but the execution was dismal.
Yeah.
And overall, this is a really disappointing entry into a new season, I think.
Agreed.
Well, I think they had a lot that they had to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think that because they had to, because they had to do something about Jadzia. Like, it would have been weird if they didn't do a Worf dealing with Jadzia situation. They had to do, obviously, Ben Sisko
getting
on
his groove
Earth,
back.
getting his groove back. And then, and because of that, then they needed to say, okay, well, then what's happening on the station?
Yeah, it's still wartime. There is still war.
So they kind of got forced to do those 3 plots.
Yeah, I
don't
think
know
it's
what
also
else they could have done.
Yeah, I think it's also a little bit important to note the writers had no plan, which I read about, because I think we're going to see as the season progresses that they knew that they had to eventually get to the finish line. But everything up until there's going to be a big 10-episode strung together arc at the very end that is going to feel like a lot, I think. But up until they piece that together, it's like it was all just, okay, what do we do with this person now? I don't know. How about this? And it's going to be very unplanned.
I gotta say, though, in this episode, I think the biggest missed opportunity for me was doing more or doing better with the Kira plot. Because, I don't know, the Romulan thing didn't really work for me. So maybe they didn't do this because they kind of did it with Jellicoe already, but I think it would have been really interesting to see a new Starfleet commander be appointed,
a replacement. It's been 3 months.
Sisko, yeah, and we kind of, when Sisko first got there, obviously he and Kira butted heads a lot, and that was sort of an early plot device that they leaned on. It would be interesting to see how that might have been used, because it doesn't make sense to me that Kira is now the sole person in charge.
Yeah,
I
even
feel like
Odo
Starfleet wouldn't have done a lot. Like, obviously she's very capable, but I don't think that Starfleet would have let that fly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think I also read somewhere someone points out that, hey, DS9 is technically a Bajoran station. So the fact that it was Admiral Ross's decision to let the Romulans on board should not have been a thing.
Well, it's a Bajoran station, but it's under Starfleet. Like, Starfleet commands it. They like the Bajoran government. It's like a U.S. base in Germany or something, right? Like they've been given dispensation by the Bajoran government to operate the station.
Yeah, it's a weird hybrid model, and maybe the presence of Ross, since he seems to have kind of made this his unofficial headquarters, is why they didn't bother sending in a replacement yet.
Oh, he kind of took that role?
Yeah, they're like, all right, Sisko claims he's coming back. It's been a few months, but Ross is there. If he takes much longer, we'll start talking about it. But
this explains something a little bit, actually, too. Because there was a line that Odo delivers in the very, very long teaser of episode 1, where he's like, oh, and Admiral Ross, or should I say, Bill. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean, Odo? Are you fucking that. Ross? What the hell are you doing? But maybe that's because...
Not anymore, but they did, apparently.
But I wonder if that's because, to explain that Ross has been here so much that they've gotten to the point where they can call each other by first name.
Yeah, or Ross went to one point and said, yeah, call me Bill.
Although I saw that the actor thought his first name was Cliff, because that's what his name is on the diplomas in his office.
That's good.
But no one pays attention to that because you can't really read it on screen.
Interesting. Yeah. You'd think like whatever artist created those diplomas might have been like, he's Bill now, eh? Maybe his middle, maybe he's Clifford William Ross.
Oh yeah, he just goes by Bill.
He goes by Bill.
Cliff is a family name.
Yeah,
he's like Cliff W. Ross the Fourth. So
yeah, I'll buy that.
There we go. We fixed it.
I like it.
Yeah, and Kira is now Colonel Kira, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, you got a promo.
I'm a big fan of the promotion. I'm not a big fan of the new outfit.
I didn't even notice the new outfit, but I like the new hair.
Yeah, she got braids now.
The little braids, a little bit longer. I guess Nana had specifically asked to get Kira a promotion. Even if it was off-screen. Would have been nice if it was on-screen, but it was off-screen because she was like, dudes, everyone else has gotten promotions so far. Kira should get a promotion.
Yeah, well, and also, so obviously the ranking in Starfleet, which, basically matches like U.S. naval ranks, is not the same as the Bajoran military, which seems to be more like Army ranks.
Yeah.
But so a colonel in the Army is probably I believe it actually would be equivalent to a captain in the Navy.
I think we also have to remember these are coming through a translator.
Yeah.
So, but I'm wondering if if she's been promoted to the equivalent of a captain, and the only reason I'm thinking that is because a colonel is directly under a general.
General Kira sounds nice too.
A captain is directly under a rear admiral, I believe. But I don't know shit about the military, so all I know from watching Stargate SG-1.
See, I know so little about the military that I did not understand what was going on in their little standoff with the 12 Bajoran fighter ships versus several gigantic fucking warbirds and good goddamn luck. And what the fuck happened there?
Yeah. Well, that was
that was a cop out.
That was a big cop out. It was also like, I don't know, like it was just Kira's stance there was objectively stupid because she was going to get a bunch of people killed.
Yeah.
That was the one part that made sense to me. Was because, like,
typical Bajor.
Yeah, because at one point, Admiral Ross says, this is a fight you can't win. And I was like, this proves Ross doesn't get the Bajorans. The Bajorans find fights they can win boring. They're more likely to be into a fight if there's no hope.
I guess so. But, like, what was her fucking plan? Because if she had stood her ground, they would have just all been killed. Like they even said their entire like little fleet of impulse ships wouldn't stand up to one warbird, let alone the half dozen that were attacking.
I wonder if some of it is if the Romulans attack and kill us, Starfleet will not be able to stand by them.
But then
but we need them in the war, so that makes no sense.
Honestly,
blow up the moon. Blow up the moon.
Yeah.
Blow up the wormhole, blow up the moon.
I mean, I
have
get
the same
it.
Answer for everything.
It is one of those things where, the Bajora is a, clearly like, I don't know, they're not a great power, and they're just gonna get stomped, and like letting little things like the Romulans have missiles on their moon is, a violation of their sovereignty. But, I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's a shitty position that they were in, and it sucks that the Federation didn't back them up initially. Or didn't we sent a formal protest, so I guess that's all we can do.
You have to also think of it of, if on the very long shot we win the Dominion War, and Romulus still has a base on a Bajoran moon, that's going to be a bad thing to have there.
Yeah.
Well, also considering that the Federation wants Bajor in the Federation for some stupid reason.
Don't do it.
At that point, then you basically have a Romulan base on Federation soil, potentially. That can't be great. So, really, this sounds like a foothold type situation, where it's like, you have the Romulans setting up for their post-war situation in the Bajoran sector.
Yeah, last season they kind of talked about that a little, where Odo mentions like, so the Romulans took this planet, which is good news for the current war, but are they gonna leave when it's over? Like,
that
really,
is kind of interesting.
The best thing that happened to the Alpha Quadrant in the Federation after the war is Shinzon murdering most of the
the Senate?
Senate,
oh, God.
And their star going nova.
Yeah. Romulus, they're so close.
So close.
Doesn't
and then one of their convoluted ass plans that makes no sense bit them in the ass.
Yep. Let's copy Picard. Let's copy Picard for some reason.
Brilliant.
God damn that movie.
Do it.
Also, Jake, I finally found it. Yes, Colonel is equivalent to Captain.
Okay. Yeah. So now, she is on par with Sisko now in terms of rank.
Yep.
About fucking time.
Well, but also he's still the emissary, so I'm sure she'll never, like, act that way.
All right, let's talk about the emissary shit.
Oh, it
Now-
was so fucking stupid. Everything about it was stupid.
Tell me how stupid things were, Caitlin.
I thought that, I don't know, I thought the fact that, I mean, starting with just, what's his dad's name? Joe?
Joe.
I feel like Joe not telling him who his real mother is fucked up and stupid. Like, this smacks of, like, you know, people bitching about, like, Spock never mentioned he had a half-brother. Spock never mentioned he had a adopted sister. It's like, he at least had, like, there was precedent for him doing it. It seems unusual to me that Joe, I'm your happy dad,
Yeah.
I care about you and check up on you, Daddy Sisko. It just seems weird that this would be hidden like this.
I feel like his reaction of, no, I will not tell you about this woman, even though it is incredibly important to your whole prophet thing, that you just saw a vision of her and I should probably tell you, but no, I will not tell you anything about this woman. Joe,
Yeah,
what the fuck is wrong with you?
He just, like, went from 0 to, like, absolutely bullshit. Where the fuck did you find this picture? And Jake's like, it was literally, like, it was in the piano bench? Like, I don't know, I found it cleaning. Like, what do you, fucking lock it up in a secret vault if you don't want people to find this shit, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So that was stupid. It was stupid that, like, Sisko was, like, I don't know, like, eugenicsed into existence, or whatever the fuck. That's a little fucking weird. Again, really, 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 like, even worse prophet scene than usual. It was, like, even more poorly written.
Well,
like,
it's the first time where it's just like, he goes, would you motherfuckers just give me a straight answer? And they did?
I did
It's just
like
like-
I wonder if that's because that particular prophet that he was talking to had actually lived as a human, basically, for
Yeah.
time. So
they got it a little bit more.
understood how linear worked, unlike the other ones.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to wrap my brain about that, but I wanted to say, like, the one thing I did like about that prophet scene is they did, at the very least, have more than one location in it.
That's true.
Which a bunch of the previous ones we've had were literally just pace around Sisko in a room, and I was fucking done. In this one, you could see, like, okay, now we're in the restaurant, now we're in this other area. We're doing the whole memory thing, memory house, and each one is in a room of your memory house.
Yeah, you're right. That
So
was
that's
a little
something.
better.
I accept your explanation, though, Jake. I like that.
I think that the implication, like, as icky as the, prophet taking over a person and making
Having
them,
sex with Joe?
yeah, like, as much as, although, young Brock Peters, not a terrible looking man, so, you never know.
He was good friends with Nichelle Nichols.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I think that's a little icky, but the idea that basically everything has been set up by the prophets
Because they can see through time.
Like, they went as far as to create the emissary, to make sure that the emissary got created.
They made their own grandfather paradox and then fucked him.
Yeah, so like that is somewhat interesting. There's a lot of consequences. There's a lot of interesting sort of implications that stretch beyond just the prophet plot line in the show. For example, like, things that I think about, the Visitor. In the Visitor,
Oh yeah, he's in that other realm.
he's trapped in subspace, right? And and basically none of the bad shit happened. Like, there was no Dominion War, there was no Jadzia Dax getting killed. Like, everything that happened there happened completely differently than what we've seen.
But that's not the way the wormhole aliens wanted it to go. So
Right.
were they the ones making him appear to Jake?
Right. Or
Interesting.
did they know about that? Were they aware of what happened in the Visitor? I don't know. Or Children of Time, were they aware of that? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed it to go this way, therefore any other possibility, like, when they went back and did Trouble with Tribbles, like, they knew that they couldn't blow up the station. Like, They know everything because they know they know the way it needs to go.
Right.
So
very interesting. It's like one of those things where, like, if this series were a J.J. Abrams series, they just never would have ended it. They just would have had the end be, and Ben Sisko turned out he was in purgatory the whole time.
I want to know why they brought Benny back for this episode too.
Well, that was a false vision, remember?
Yeah, the Pa
Wraiths.
Wraiths.
The Pa Wraiths tricking him. Which is
They didn't
interesting.
want
Does
him to
that mean
open
that
the
the
box.
first Benny Russell experience was also a Pa Wraith
No,
situation?
the first, because I had to read about this, because as brilliant as Far Beyond the Stars is, it's a little bit weird when you try to work it into what's happening in real life.
Yeah.
And the explanation that I've seen that makes the most sense is the prophets showed him that vision to like help him get over the loss of his friend Swarkin. What was the guy's name? Swafford. To get over Swafford, a person I don't give a shit about, but Sisko did.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't realize that's what that was going on this time around, was a Pa Wraith thing.
Yeah, they were trying to fuck with him.
Yeah, make him
so,
not
like,
open the box.
All right. Well,
which is
fine, I
interesting
guess.
because he couldn't talk to the prophets because they're trapped in the wormhole, but apparently he could talk to the Pa Wraiths because they were able to give him visions.
Well, someone showed him the magic fucking sentient ball showed him the vision of the face in the sand.
Well, I was guessing that was, his mother, basically, the prophet that was his mother.
Because she lives in the box?
It lives in the box.
In the orb of the emissary?
I think she's just a free roaming prophet that is like
that just fucks people sometimes.
When the time comes, you got to make sure Sisko finds the box because that's the orb that the Pa Wraiths don't know about. That's the one that's gonna stay alive when all the other ones are dead.
Okay.
I do like the idea though that maybe there's some sort of like junior prophet, some sort of like, new to the office prophet, entry-level prophet who lives in the baseball.
That's why the baseball has such a great arc.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
It also explains how Ezri threw it so far when she really just kind of lobbed it. But I was like, wow, good arm.
Didn't look like it was that far of a throw.
It seemed a decent length from where they'd been.
Excellent ball acting. I also wanted to give Sisko a little bit of shit because he gets the necklace or whatever that fucking thing was that Sarah had. And he's like, oh, it has ancient Bajoran writing on it. I wonder what it says. And he has to go look it up. But the thing is, like a while ago when he saw those stone tablets that said, welcome emissary, he was able to translate emissary immediately.
Well, he
That's
knows
true.
the word for emissary. Of course he does. But that's just kind of like his own dick stroking, isn't it?
But literally, the transcription in the necklace or whatever it was orb of the emissary. So you'd think he would have recognized the word emissary at the very least.
Unless this
Idiot.
was different ancient Bajoran.
Oh.
Maybe this is less ancient Bajoran.
Yeah, they're like, that was ancient Bajoran. This is like middle ancient Bajoran. It's kind of like English.
Middle
how at first
English.
it was sort of Celtic, then Germanic, and then you get around Shakespeare, and it's mostly comprehensible.
Maybe it was a font issue. Maybe it was a font that is harder to understand. Like if you're trying to tell the difference between print and cursive, good fucking luck.
Yeah, or it was
Still
like
using
this was
that weird tall F thing for TH or whatever it is. What was that? Is
Thorn.
It S?
There we go.
Oh, it is the sound TH though, right?
TH is a thorn.
Thorn. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but getting back to Sisko, my fucking god, I have a quote here by Ira Stephen Bear that I don't know how I feel about.
Okay.
Quote, I just felt that all the Starfleet captains are treated like gods by the viewers. Clearly, the next step was to actually make one of those captains a god or godlike.
That's kind of amusing.
The fucking fumes from bleaching his beard hair so he can dye it stupid colors is clearly rotting his stupid brain.
See, the thing is, it feels less like a god thing because, again, the prophets aren't linear.
Well, they're not gods either. They're just aliens.
Yeah, but all I can think of is the end of Bill and Ted, where they're like, okay, remember, we have to do this when we get out of here.
Yeah, we have to put a bucket above the door so it falls on some guy's head even though nothing starts it from falling.
Yeah, so like the end of the series comes and the prophets go, okay, we got to make sure Ben Sisko gets born, and this happens, and that happens, and we're going to give Odo a wedgie that one time just because it's funny.
Odo doesn't wear clothes.
During that brief period where he's solid, they give him away. Ooh, good point.
Imagine being solid for the first time and just wearing the same ugly bullshit you've always been wearing.
Well, I mean,
I know it's a uniform, but he could, I don't know, we could have seen evening wear Odo at some point.
Yeah, everybody else every once in a while will have a scene in their civvies.
Their civvies?
Their jammies.
But Odo, he's always on duty.
Well, he doesn't wear Jimmy Jams. I like to think that Odo probably sleeps in the nude.
Having said this, that's one thing we didn't consider when we talked about Solid Odo's first experiences. Solid Odo's first wedgie. This is horrible.
It's so chafing.
I'd like to think that underwear technology has come a long way by the 24th century.
I bet you they just don't wear underwear. Oh, no, we've seen them wear underwear, because we saw O'Brien strip down once.
And don't they wear it in Enterprise, too?
Well, yeah, but that's the 20.
Oh, that's early. Yeah.
It's also only for the purpose of titillating, 20-year-old viewers.
Ugh.
Actually,
we'll talk
more
about
like
that in a couple
14-year-old
years.
viewers.
I gotta say, I was a teenage viewer at the time, and I just thought it was gross.
Yeah, I think most people did.
Cool. So here's my question. Is Sisko just Jesus?
He is basically Bajorn Jesus.
I don't like it.
Well, to be Jesus, you have to die for someone's sins. So if this is some kind of haphazard spoiler for what happens to Sisko, let's not go here. I don't know anything about what happens to Sisko at the end of the show.
This also isn't like new information because he's always been, prophesized, the emissary and all that. Like that's
the thing, right? Like, up until this point, he's the emissary to the prophets. And all that necessarily means is he's not inherently messianic. They're
just the person they talk to.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look again at the Abrahamic faiths, there's so many examples of people like that, and what normally they're called prophets, which makes it
I was going to ask
a little confusing.
If you would call this like a seer.
Yeah.
Isn't this kind of like what Tiresias did back in the classical era?
He's an oracle.
Oracle, there you go, that's a word.
Like, so the whole, like, begotten by the prophets coming in at the 11th hour like this does...
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of really what it is. He's a Deus Ex.
But they're not gods. They're just aliens!
Well, Deus aliens.
Aliens Ex Machina.
Yes, there it is.
But yes, I guess whether or not he is explicitly Space Jesus, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the finale.
Aliens Ex Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just a matter of... I know we've talked about marrying science fiction and religion and how that tends to go in a really, really squicky way. And here's another Ira Baird quote is, "We wanted to show that, like war, religion can be a dangerous thing." This was specifically in reference to the cult of the Plarates, but I feel like it's also very relevant to the writing of these episodes.
Yeah.
It's like, you are making a Jesus, guys, in a sci-fi show, and it's getting weird, and I don't know what you're trying to say.
Maybe he'll be more...
Like this is a rough start.
Maybe he'll be more of an Arthur.
King Arthur or Arthur the Aardvark?
Either.
Arthur
why not both?
Ooh.
Yeah, because they inject a bit of messianicness into the Arthur myth at some point, but it's a slightly different way it works, so...
I don't know a ton about the Arthur myth. I worked on a show about Arthur, and I understood none of it.
And
Chris wrote it.
I was going to say, I worked on that show.
But who is the
Lancelot.
rabbit that's friends with Arthur in this?
Oh, good.
that
Lancelot.
rabbit. See,
Would that
again,
be
because
Dax?
it's Monty Python the Holy Grail. You say rabbit, I'm thinking,
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the one that's like...
Buster.
Buster, there you go. I didn't know the character name.
Buster, I think, is probably Curzon.
Okay.
Like, I feel like if there's any character that Arthur's going to get shit-faced and get whores with, it's totally Buster.
Cool.
Weird.
Where does his sister DW fit into all of this?
Well, in early seasons before they decided they never existed, there had been Sisko siblings. But that was also when it was heavily implied that his father was already dead, so...
Siblings goes, I don't know.
Oh yeah, were the
There's no way to do
siblings younger then? The siblings must be younger. I don't know if that's established.
Doesn't matter, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, because here's the other question is, when did the stepmother come into play? Because, we keep wanting to say Brock Peters. Joe specifically says, oh, I spent years looking for Sarah, and I finally found her, and it was too late, she was already dead. So, she went away when Benny was 1. Years passed.
I think it says 3 years specifically.
3 years? Was it 3? I missed if there was a mention. So, at least 3 years passed. So, Ben Sisko is probably like 4 at the time where we learn that Sarah is dead.
Yeah.
So, assuming Joe at least allowed for 1 day of mourning before marrying whoever the stepmother is, and convincing the stepmother, now listen, lady, we're never going to show you on the show, so we're just going to make sure that you know, never tell Ben you're not his mom. What the hell?
It would have just made more sense. I mean, if they were thinking ahead.
They weren't.
Which they weren't. But if they were, it would have made more sense just to make it so that Sisko didn't know his mother. And that, he had always heard that, she
was
died
dead
in childbirth or whatever.
So, did the prophets kill Sarah to keep their secret?
No, I think... Oh, you mean on the hover bike or whatever it was?
Yeah. Did they cause the accident?
No, I don't think so. Or I don't get that implication.
If Joe had found her, she could have been like, what? Were you, does she remember her time when she was possessed?
Well, they didn't make her leave. She left because all of a sudden not the Pah-wraith, the prophet that was inside her was gone, and she was like, oh, god damn, this isn't my life, and she left.
Right, that's what I mean, though. So, did she just, kind of wake up one day like she'd been in a coma? Like, how conscious was she when the prophet was piloting her?
That is fucking horrifying.
Right? Like, we don't know.
I would like to think it's traditional science fiction takeover where you can watch everything with horror but can't do anything to stop it.
Like John Malkovich.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, I think maybe they killed her. I mean, there's nothing to say they did, but also there's nothing to say they didn't, and they clearly don't care about anything but Ben.
Yeah, I don't know. If they
thing.
were going to do that, though, they would have just, given her a massive aneurysm like the Pah-wraith was going to do to Keiko.
And also, I don't get the indication anywhere that the prophets care at all past what they want to do. And what they want to do is make Ben happen, check that off the list. Now let's go off and forget what baseball is, because none of us happen to know. God damn it.
But if it were... Maybe it was important for things to play out the way they did that she was dead. Because maybe if she weren't, Ben would have ended up having some kind of relationship with her, and then he wouldn't have been inspired to go to Tyree or whatever. I don't know. I could see there being reasons. I like how no one said that where they needed to go was Tyree, right? He just
knew from the vision.
But the vision was clearly of Southern California.
Big stretch of desert.
He's just like, this could be 2 places in the galaxy: the Vasquez Rocks or Tyree. He probably before he decided it was Tyree, he probably beamed over and just looked around Southern California and didn't find a box.
Well, it was the junior assistant to the director, Prophet in the baseball, went Tyree.
Yes.
It's my new favorite character, by the way.
The baseball?
The junior assistant prophet inside the baseball.
I like it. It's a good headcanon. Oh, I missed it. I missed my opportunity when we were talking about reading the fucking necklace that has the ancient Bajoran writing on it. And I said, oh man, you know who we need to decode the ancient Bajoran? Dax!
Oh. Dax. Just one more thing that Ben needs her for that she's not there for.
That, I do kind of I don't remember if this happens, because I don't remember a lot of this season, even though I know I saw it. But it would be kind of funny. Dax, I need you to do some sort of science-y thing. And she's like, it's not me anymore. I mean, I kind of remember, but not enough.
Nope, that sounds like too much talking for Ezri. Too much.
Further reason to not have that character on the station. I would see maybe having like an episode or two where we visit new Dax, but putting her on the station, probably a bad idea for the other characters involved.
Yeah. But it's like Jake's...
like Bashir is going to be humping her leg and...
Quark
and Bashir are going to be humping her legs at the same time, and it's going to be really awkward.
While Worf cries.
And Worf will be crying, and Sisko will be like trying to get free therapy.
I think it's all free in the future.
It's probably true.
Yeah.
I did like this part of like Worf's arc though. This showing that he is definitely a better husband than a boyfriend.
Mm.
And a Starfleet officer.
Though I will say that like I find all of it a little weird trying to like convert someone into your religion officially after death. It just, that gives me a weird, and I think it's probably because when I was like literally in high school, I dated a boy who got really upset when I said I didn't believe in Christ. And he was like, but I want you to be saved. And I was like, wow, that's weird. I don't know about this. That's how it feels.
You know what the Mormons do? They baptize posthumously. So like they'll go to grave sites and like baptize the deceased. So, so that they can be brought into the light of Christ.
Well, I don't like that.
So for all you know, after you're dead, some Mormons are going to come and baptize you.
That's why.
And you'll just wake up in
Mormon heaven.
Kolob.
That's why eaten by a whale is my way to go.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christmas. No.
Wow, Chris just really had a visceral reaction there. That's why I'm going to be cremated.
Well, they can find your ashes, though.
But then they would just turn me into some kind of soup. They wouldn't baptize me.
No, it's not creamed, it's cremated.
I'm saying if they add water to the ashes, it would turn into a slurry, but that was a good one.
Just toss my corpse into a volcano.
What if we toss your corpse into a whale?
No whales! They don't get to win in the end.
Aww.
That's true. We're probably going to hunt them into extinction. Womp womp.
Oh, well, that's not what I meant,
Chris.
but...
The last thing I wanted to bring up to Chris, the aesthetics pedant.
Yes.
What did you think of our new desert wandering outfits?
Oh, God.
I mean... They looked less like desert wandering outfits and more like something you would wear at a spa.
It looked like athleisure wear.
Spa wandering.
Yeah, like I feel like the robe seems like something to be really nice to put on after a shower. But the rest of it was definitely like, the fuck?
And why didn't they spring for the full outfits for Jake and Joe? They just had the robe on over their normal clothes.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny, too, is Joe had been wearing a shirt on the roundabout. You two got me doing it now. Runabout, which you could tell from the material was very much like a very light, breathable shirt. And then he changed into like a cotton button-up to go on down to the desert.
Really?
It's like, Joe!
They had everybody in linen, in like nice flowy linen, and they were like, fuck it, stick us in as much of fucking man-made garbage as you can. We want to be as hot as possible. What I argued was perhaps it was some kind of specially formulated fabric of some kind that was like, dispersing the sunlight so that it wasn't getting hot with the sunlight hitting it, or like maybe it was, I don't know. I'm sure we could make up some Star Trek bullshit about how that robe maybe was super nice and cool, because it's all science fiction.
I do kind of wish Joe had actually had more to do on Tyree, considering they insisted on having him tag along.
Yeah,
I don't know why he was there at all. He was like dying. He's like, no, you go ahead, son.
They dragged the actor, 80-year-old Brock Peters, into the fucking desert to have him just be there for no reason. Like, he didn't help.
Like, maybe he had, like, if he had somehow been
neither did Quark. He and Quark are foils for each other in this, somehow.
He should have been the one to throw the ball.
Or, like, maybe he, unlike Jake's, because Jake got zapped, like, maybe he somehow could have broken through and helped Ben with the fake vision.
Oh, when Jake did that great flip? That was awesome. I doubt that was actually Sherlock Lofton, but it was a great flip.
Poor Jake, just like, this prophet bullshit.
I told you last
time
this was a bad idea.
He's so done with all of this.
I mean, he's got to realize by now that this is not going anywhere good. Like,
yeah, no, he's just like...
He's a writer. He's already imagined hundreds of endings to this story, I'm sure.
all of them terrible.
That's what I'm saying.
Insert your own Avengers joke here about a million possible timelines.
so
What if I don't want to?
I feel like this episode also gave rise to a certain portion of the fan base believing that all of Star Trek was written by Benny Russell. Like that we're really just watching a story within a story.
Which is what Justice was fearing when he told us how he had never watched that episode, because that was the fear.
And like, yeah, in that episode, is a one-off kind of work, but in this episode where Sisko's literally writing the episode as it's happening.
Yeah.
You know, and like the episode stops when Benny stops writing and then starts up again when he starts writing again. You know, obviously they explain it as, oh, no, this is just a vision that Ben Sisko was having that was given to him by the Pa-Wraith. But I could see somebody taking the position that, no, this is literally Benny's writings that we are watching. And
yeah. Well, it doesn't help that, I mean, didn't you say, Ames, that they had considered making that the series finale?
Yeah, and I'm glad that they will not.
Yeah, no, because that's dumb.
Yeah, I did like seeing Casey Biggs out of makeup. That was very fun. And I also looked up that the writing that was on the wall, which was handwritten by like the whole team of the art department, because it was a lot of fucking writing.
Wow.
But the writing was all the episode synopses from the Deep Space Nine companion.
That's funny.
From the first 6 seasons, because it was already in process.
Oh, I like that.
That's pretty good. That is so much work for like... Because so much of that could have just been squiggles and we'd have no idea.
Well, you'd know because every so often they wanted to make sure if the camera passed across and someone could recognize it, say like Kira or Odo, or if they wanted to make sure if something were actually legible on screen. I don't know how much is because I didn't check.
But all I mean there was like, you know, they've got all these walls, and like, if you know, we're only ever going to get close to this one. This is the only one we have to do it with. But they're like, yeah, no, fuck all of it. All of it's going to be real.
Well,
like,
it's because these people are like peddling in stories about the future. They knew that televisions were going to be better someday. You know, I assume.
They also started off thinking, okay, we're going to try to make it look like Avery Brooks' handwriting. They took an Avery Brooks handwriting sample and said, let's make it like this. And they gave up on that real fucking fast.
Fuck that. I actually just want to say, just in terms of it not being a whole Benny Russell story, I'm really glad that that's not how it went too, because that would mean that they were using the trick that they suggested using to sneak a black captain into people's living rooms,
True.
Oh,
and it would have totally delegitimized, like, beyond it just being fucking stupid, it would have entirely delegitimized everything about that we got that was progressive and good in this, including, again, black captain, a really great, you know, relationship between a black man and his son. Well, actually, 3 generations of, you know, loving black family. Like, this would have just
Joe didn't tell us about Sarah. Damn it, Joe.
Well, everyone
fuck Joe.
fucks up
I'm mad at
sometimes.
him.
Fucks up for at least 45 years of someone's life.
Feel like there was something else I was thinking too, and now I can't think what it was. Oh, I thought Damar looked a lot better under his makeup than Gul Dukat. Marcolemo?
Yes.
No, yes? That's not a good-looking man. He's a good-looking Cardassian.
He's a great-looking Cardassian.
But he's not a good-looking human. Damar is like an okay-looking Cardassian and like an okay-looking human, but definitely a better-looking human than Marcolemo. In my opinion.
And we all know the most fuckable version of Jeffrey Combs is Shran.
Don't
disagree. I like Wei-Yoon.
Nah, I'm just being a wiseacre.
JK, it's Brunt. No, it isn't.
No, not those teeth.
Oh, God, no. Ferengi teeth are hideous.
Especially his, though. He's got, like, 3.
You know, considering what a position of power he holds, I feel like Brunt doesn't have very impressive lobes. I never look at Brunt FCA and think, look at the lobes on that.
Yeah, but he's not
flat.
like a good businessman. Like, he's a toady. He's
He's a
like a bureaucrat.
Yeah.
So he probably doesn't have the lobes.
Oh my god, so this is what Napoleon syndrome is in Ferengi, or like the whole like, oh yeah, look at the big dick on this guy with his like crotch rocket Kawasaki Ninja motorcycle. It's like his lobes are actually kind of small, so he has to like lord it around on people by being like the most horrible bureaucrat that ever bureaucrated.
I can
Sounds
see it.
right.
God damn it, Brunt.
I imagine cosmetic lobe enhancement is a major industry.
Oh my god.
All the porn websites are like, do you want bigger lobes?
Yeah.
That's why they go to
results
Vulcan.
in
2 weeks.
That's why they go to
Natural
Vulcan
lobe
doctors.
enhancement.
Mm.
Yes.
Well, it's because surprised they're not going to Earth doctors, since they heard Spock's ears actually just got caught in a rice picker. So they're
No, the Vulcan doctors will keep your secrets, though.
will they?
Oh,
It is logical.
Unlike Romulans,
yeah. Human doctors, they gossip.
who doesn't?
Vulcan doctors.
Oh, also the Costa Nostra or whatever it's called actually got named in this one, right?
The
I don't think
Costamogen?
I don't think
Oh.
we got a name for this until now. Like, I know you guys were calling him the Costamogen, but I think that was just because you knew it.
Yeah, because I
Costa
read
Nostra. I
it.
couldn't remember what the fuck it was called. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, so I wonder, is the implication that there is only one Pa Wraith and it's the Kosamogen? Because that's the same guy that did the Reckoning.
But I think it was a different one that inhabited Keiko that time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, much
I just
shittier
imagine there's a
one,
ton of them.
apparently.
Yeah, like this one's maybe the most powerful or something, or is at least the boss, but...
I would guess that there are an equal number of prophets and Pa-wraiths. Balance. They talk about reckoning and all this shit. I just feel like it's probably pretty symmetrical.
Yep.
Well, not anymore because they shat out Kosamogen out of the wormhole.
Mm.
So is Kosamogen dead now?
I doubt it.
Can
Is
they die?
Kosamogen just Lucifer? Is he the
That's what it is.
If Ben Sisko is Jesus, is he just Lucifer?
Yikes.
Ben Sisko isn't Jesus. He's Anakin Skywalker. He's gonna bring balance
Now this is pod racing.
to the... I mean, he did build that stupid sailing ship
Oh,
for
man.
funsies.
Now this is historical accuracy. As he crashes into Cardassia or whatever.
Very, very nearly. That's what there we go. We've solved it. Ben Sisko.
He's gonna kill all the younglings. Oh god.
Okay, but how are his midichlorian counts?
Does he want to buy some death sticks?
I do. No, wait.
Oh, man, we have fun.
Do we?
I
guess
had
we do.
fun. This
I
one
guess
was
we
fun.
do.
This one was fun because there was a lot to pick apart.
Yeah, it sure is.
Next week, though.
Oh, man.
no. Oh god, no.
Here
Whoa.
it comes.
So here's
the
the
moment
thing.
Ames has been waiting for 5 years. We've been doing this podcast.
She
This
has
is what
been
she's
dreading
wanted.
this.
What after image? Is it really bad?
Caitlin tells a joke. Oh wow.
Caitlin told a joke. Well, speaking of next week, apparently we're going to be talking about the allegedly horrible after image and a cute little story I've heard lots of great things about. Take me up to the holodeck. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, Star to Steer Her By, aside from being probably right where you found it this week, next week, is also on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple and Google Podcasts, and Spotify. You can also find us on Facebook by searching for A Star to Steer Her By. You can follow us or read some stuff on Tumblr and Twitter at SSHB Podcast, or you can visit sshbpodcast.com, our home on the web. It's not all Star Trek. Sometimes we talk about different movies in our 10 forwards. Sometimes we talk about, well, that's really the only time it is in Star Trek. But the rest of the time it basically is...
We're getting closer to fanfic time, and I'm getting excited.
Getting a little... Yeah, I should start writing now.
You don't even know what your picks are yet.
Just kidding. I'll write it in the 5 minutes before the show, as usual. I wouldn't want to switch it up now.
The Mass Effect re-release just came out. I should... I don't know, write something about that.
You're going to write a Mass Effect fanfic?
No, but just, because it has been called by some unironically the best Star Trek game, so...
Wow.
I don't know,
also,
have
I can
they
think-
played Star Trek Voyager Elite Force?
Best
Also,
Star Trek movie.
I completely
Galaxy
forgot.
Quest.
Marina Sirtis is a voice in the first one.
Oh shit,
Oh,
who is
nice.
she?
I don't know how I forgot that.
How
but I
does she?
did.
Who does she play?
She plays a secondary villain.
Ah.
So she gets to be all like, sultry and angry.
Oh, that's my favorite Marina series.
Very briefly.
Yes.
I know we're in the outro.
No.
What?
Admiral Senator fucking
Kretak?
Kretak. We'd seen her previously. She was
Why?
part of the evil dickhead council in TNG with Riker and the woman that wanted to be a woman, but her species is officially androgynous.
Oh, the outcast.
Yeah, I was sitting there, I was like, that voice is really
yeah.
familiar. And yeah, so she was part of the council of assholes. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
We'll see you next week, bitches.
We gonna say our names or no?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I've been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is Always Ames.